Happy Monday, everyone. Today, I'm going to be elaborating on my personal bio and giving you some more proofs. In my previous video, I told you about how my mother is from Yuma and my grandmother is a refugee from El Salvador named Grace Aragon, who is a bloodline descendant to the Spanish throne. I also told you about how my grandfather ran the private refueling contractor on the base in Yuma that smuggled drugs for the CIA, called Mercury Refueling Inc. His house on Chico Lane, here in Yuma, used to be a CIA job site. When I was little, we had lots of fun playing in these weird trapdoor compartments that he had in his house. The property has been idled and torn down since he moved out, but there used to be these giant 30-foot bush walls around the entire perimeter of the property, which made it very easy to walk behind all the properties along this canal without being seen. My brother and I used to love catching ducks back there because it was so covered that they couldn't fly away from us and we could get them when we were little. Growing up, I also used to love sitting in the back of his truck at the end of this runway here at the Yuma MCIS base, watching fighter jets take off over our heads. My grandfather, or Oppie as we used to call him, was very sneaky, so most of my family didn't find out about any of this until recently with you guys. My dad's parents are immigrants and his first language was German. His dad, my other grandfather, Walter Steinbart, was actually a German SS officer who was given a false identity and evacuated out of Russia by a British intelligence front called Red Cross in a thing called Operation Paperclip. His real name was Bernard Steinbart, and he was a pretty smart cookie. He knew 7 languages and all kinds of stuff about the world. He was an ethnic German who was residing in Poland, who was conscripted at gunpoint when the war broke out and served as a tank commander. Everyone thinks I'm yanking their chain when I say that, but that is actually a verifiable fact. One that my entire family is not very pleased about me publicly sharing. My father helped program satellites while attending University of Colorado at Boulder. He then went on to a long career in the semiconductor or computer chip industry, where he worked closely with major defense contractors like Raytheon, selling them the software they use to design computer chips that go inside weapons. Go to any of their electrical engineering facilities in El Segundo, in Tucson, Dallas, Boston, or their R&D facility in Edinburgh, Scotland, and I guarantee you they'll know who my dad is. He's been Raytheon's Vendor of the Year before, and they even fabbed him a personal thank you note into a piece of silicone when he retired last year. Verifiable facts. The company he worked for, called Mentor Graphics, also sells SpaceX and Air Force Research Labs the software that they use to design their electronics. Verifiable fact. Growing up, we had a family friend named Boots Nelson, who was a lawyer from Tucson that would let us rent out his beach house in Puerto Penasco, a small little Mexican beach town about a 4-hour drive south from Phoenix. It was like a second home to me growing up. We spent lots of time down there. One of my favorite things to do as a kid was to go catch octopuses in these tide pools. The house next door was where the owner of the marina in town lived, someone who was deeply involved with the Sinaloa cartel. During my time in Puerto Penasco, I actually discovered a CIA trap house down the street from where I would stay that I like to call the Delta Lair because it's got this big, Delta triangle thing pointing it out. This house is used to store drugs that are then driven on quads down this snazzy beach driveway thing and over to a big nightclub down the way called Baja, where they are sold. Shipments are originally loaded onto small fishing boats on the docks in Mazatlan, Mexico, down here, and moved up along the coast, either being passed through the marina in town or through this estuary, about 20 minutes east of it. There's this big Freemason symbol in the estuary that you can see from the air, which is a big marker. It shows traffickers where to go to avoid the Mexican military highway checkpoint, which is about right here, en route to Caborca. On the way to Caborca, there's even a small municipality called El Coyote. Shows you how serious the government is about stopping this problem, huh? Across from that estuary, there's also an unmarked runway that from the highway looks like just a dirt road. Shipments coming through the estuary route either get loaded onto cars and driven over to Caborca, or they get loaded onto planes at that unmarked runway and flown to Stellar Air Park in Chandler, Arizona, where there's no air traffic control to watch, and where there's a neighborhood full of houses with these attached private hangars for storage. My first missions at age 17 and 18 were to Cuba. I went there twice before Americans were legally allowed to go. I spent a lot of time in Havana and a lot of time in Santa Clara, where I met an IT guy who worked for a regional official who is now their president. Someone I keep in touch with to this very day. And someone that I'm going to use as a back channel to go squash McNasty's beef with Cuba after this is all over. After high school, I was planning on going to the Air Force Academy. I took pilot lessons and Krav Maga, a mixed martial art developed by the Israeli military. But 1 month before I was supposed to leave for Colorado, I had my acceptance revoked because of an overlooked gluten allergy, and I was sent to Arizona State instead, where I met my amazing wife in 2009. We dropped out of college together during our sophomore year to focus on our point-of-sale IT systems business, one we used as cover to gain access to many of the targets of this operation. During the course of this mission, I have personally infiltrated many hotel chains such as Hilton, Marriott, Embassy Suites, Hamilton Inn, and La Quinta. And I left behind some of these Pine 64 sniffer gadgets that I made myself, plugged into their guest Wi-Fi servers, so that I could monitor backpage ads being posted. I also infiltrated major data centers like this one, an internet backbone data center on 40th Street in Phoenix, run by a company called Iron Mountain, which has military-grade security, including these snazzy little man traps, aka glass tubes, and these iris scanners where you have to stick your face up to the thing and it scans you. Also went to an internet data center run by AT&T that's located in Mesa, Arizona, and also infiltrated a data center in Chandler run by a company called First Data, which is the company that facilitates credit card processing for many major banks and Fortune 500 corporations. In fact, a huge percentage of the international credit card processing traffic happening in the United States today flows through this payment data center here in Chandler. Here's me with the guy who runs it. All right, we're going through the man trap. Oh, we're in tube with the hand scanner. Right here. And Tony. This is Tony's place.
What's up?
Also been to top secret document warehouses like this one, a massive building with several stories worth of racks, which had tens of millions of classified documents stored. I also have the IT contracts for the White Mountain Apache Reservation, a tribe up in northern Arizona. You can easily Google and verify that. So as you can see, we have been having quite a time out here in Westworld. But I know some of you still aren't convinced. Obviously, the fact that falsely claiming to be a federal agent is a crime that I would get locked in jail for isn't really cutting it for some of you. Nor is the internal-only copy of the Raytheon Handbook. So as a token of good faith, I will provide you all with the configuration script for one of the core ADTRAN routers at Luke Air Force Base in a link below, just to show you that I'm not messing around. Something that I would be in huge trouble for if I wasn't explicitly authorized to do so. But to be completely honest, I could care less what anyone thinks about me, because I am going to be the new commander of the Space Force very soon. The real Space Force, not that fake Air Force one. Meaning you're kind of stuck with me, for the next 40 years at least, whether you like it or not. I'm also rich as hell, because the DIA let me use those time warping instant messages to tip myself off to this thing called Bitcoin, way back when it was just starting out. So I'm pleased to announce that we are not going to be gangbanging or drug dealing anymore to fund our Black Ops. I'm actually just going to pay for them myself. Isn't that fun? I'm that loaded. So believe me if you don't want to. Makes no difference to me. I have a wicked smart, smoking hot wife that's got my back no matter what. I'm building this huge palace in Cave Creek for us to live in, which I will link to below. And I'm bringing the Space Force headquarters out here to Arizona, which will be absolutely epic. So put that in your pipe and smoke it, haters. Because I'm not just associated with Q, I am Q. Me personally, this is my operation. The guy posting on the boards and running point on this whole operation is actually me in the future. Pretty crazy, right? Be on the lookout for official confirmation from the big man upstairs very soon. And in the meantime, all the annoying little parrots squawking, Naruto comes, can take a seat. Because it also says on that board that disinformation is necessary. Cherry picking parts that you like to attack people that you don't is very ignorant and obnoxious. Understand that I am nowhere near as measured as Q+, and that I'm under no obligation to be nice to any of you. So while I'm generally a cordial fellow who plays nice with others, I will not hesitate to call out egotistical influencers when they are leading people astray. We got lots of great stories to tell, and we are going to be doing so on this YouTube channel over the next few weeks. So please share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.